You know that feeling when you're stuck on a big decision? Maybe it's choosing a career path, or deciding whether to move to a new city, or even something smaller like which project to tackle first at work. We've all been there going on in circles, making pros and cons lists that don't seem to help, or just feeling paralyzed by all the options. So today I want to share something that's completely changed how I approach decisions, and I think it will help you too. Let's get into it. So it is called the IEAG framework, and I am the worst when it comes to acronyms. So let me know if you have another suggestion. But before you worry, it is way simpler than it sounds. So IEAG stands for information, experiences, access, and gut feeling. So think of this as four different lenses that you can look through when making any decision. Okay, so first up is information. Basically, what do you actually know about the situation? Not what you think you know or what you've heard from someone else, but it's solid, reliable information. Let's say you're thinking about switching jobs. Your information might include things like salary range in your field, the company's financial health, what the role actually involves day to day, or the job market in your area. All right, so this is your research phase, gathering facts, not opinions. The key here is to being honest about what you know versus what you're assuming. And sometimes, as human being, we realize that we're trying to make a decision based on way less information than we thought. Okay, next is experiences. And this is where you become sort of your own best advisor. Questions that you have to ask yourself is, what have you done in similar situations before? How did it turn out? What patterns do you notice in your past decisions? Now let's go back to that job change example. So questions like, have you switched jobs before? What made those transitions successful or challenging? And maybe you've noticed that you thrive in smaller companies like a startup, but you struggle in corporate big environment. Or perhaps you've learned that you need at least 6 months of savings before making any big career moves. At the end of the day, you know yourself better. Your past behavior is often the best predictor of future success. So do not ignore all the things that you've learned the hard way. All right, so third is access, your social capital. Who do you know that can help you with this decision? And I don't just mean people who can give you advice, although that's important too. What I mean is think about your network more broadly. Do you know someone who works at the company that you're considering? A friend who made a similar career change? A mentor who's been in your shoes? And maybe you know someone who knows someone. As LinkedIn says, do not underestimate the power of second degree connections. The people in your network aren't just source of information. They are often the ones who can open doors, who can make introductions, or can give you insights you would never get from a website or a job posting. Finally, there's gut feeling. And this one is tricky because to me, it is the most personal. How much do you trust your instincts? Some people have incredibly reliable gut feelings, while others find their emotions can lead them even more astray. The key is knowing yourself. Are you someone whose first instinct is usually right? Or do you tend to overthink and second guess yourself to make the worst decisions? That's me. And maybe you're great at reading people, but terrible at assessing risk. That's me too. So, your gut feeling isn't just about emotion, it is your subconscious processing all the information that you've gathered in ways your rational mind might miss. But, you need to know how much weight to give it based on your own track record. And if you constantly make a terrible decision based on your gut feeling, maybe you need to take a prebiotic, for healthy guts. Here's the beautiful thing about this framework: you do not need to be strong in all four areas. Maybe you're great at research, but you don't have a huge network. Or perhaps you have amazing instincts, but you need to work on gathering more concrete information. The point is to consciously consider all four perspectives before making your decision. Ask yourself, what do I know? What have I done? Who do I know? And what is my gut telling me? And sometimes these four will all point in the same direction. And there you go, you have an easy decision. But other times, they might conflict, And that's where you need to dig deeper or maybe wait a little bit more for more clarity. Okay, let me give you a quick example of how this might work in real life. Let's say that you're considering starting a side business. First, information. You research the market, you understand the startup costs, you know the legal requirements, and you have a realistic timeline. Second, experiences. You remember the time that you tried to start a blog but you never stuck with it, but you also recall how energized you felt when you organized that successful fundraiser last year. Third, access. You realize your college roommate is now a successful entrepreneur who can mentor you, and your neighbor is an accountant who can help you with the financial side. Fourth, gut feeling. Despite all the practical challenges that you've experienced, there's just something inside of you that keeps telling you this is the right time. Now, you can go make a decision that takes into account all these four perspectives rather than just going with your emotions or getting stuck with too many information. Analysis paralysis. So, the next time you're facing a tough decision, try running it through the IEAG framework. What do you know? What have you done? Who do you know? And what does your gut tell you? You might be surprised how much clarity this simple approach can bring to even the most complex decisions. And remember, there's no perfect decision. There's just the best decision that you can make with what you have right now. All right? What decision are you working on that you could apply this framework to? Give it a try and see what insights come up. The uncertainty, the quitting,